our economic systems are pretty fragile, and there's this growing sense that we're long overdue for a recession or a reset of some kind with mounting debts and things like that. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, Ray Dalio is a legendary billionaire investor. He's the founder of Bridgewater Associates, a very successful investment firm, one of the largest, if not the largest, hedge fund manager. And he's just a really genuine person. I've read one of his other previous books, Principles, a fantastic book that I highly recommend for organizations that want to have more of what he describes as an idea meritocracy, where you gather more useful input from your team and everybody's really judged on their merit and the merit that they bring to the table in terms of their specialization and their skills. But in this particular book, what he's really focused on is understanding why nations succeed and why they fail. And to unlock that really deeply, he focuses on the leading empires of the world throughout history. So, for example, he goes back to the Netherlands when they were the dominant kind of global superpower, and then eventually they were overtaken by the United Kingdom, and then eventually the United Kingdom was overtaken by the United States. And then projecting out into the future, there's this growing sense that China is almost certainly going to become the next global superpower. And he looks at this through the lens of what causes nations to become more successful and then what causes their eventual decline. And he looks at a number of factors, including growing debt and inflation, and even factors like the education of the population. And those kinds of things can kind of be leading indicators for whether or not a nation is on the right track to continue succeeding or perhaps to start to decline. Now, along the way, of course, he dives into some economic theory and he talks a little bit about the decisions that central governments make and how they manage monetary policy and that sort of thing. And there is this growing sense, again, as I hinted at earlier, that we are long overdue for some kind of a recession or a correction, and central governments are going to have to find a way to manage this and to try to curb some of this inflation in a way that hopefully won't be very destructive. So if, like me, you're interested in this subject of understanding the basics of economic policy and understanding the various decisions that central governments are making, whether it comes to printing money or the decisions in terms of how to use that money, and perhaps even the future of the US and their position as global superpower and whether that is going to be sustained or if China is going to overtake them. If you're interested in these subjects, I highly recommend this book. One thing worth noting is the book is quite dense. There's a lot of data and there's a lot of graphs and things like that to explore throughout the book, but Ray does an excellent job of bolding the sections that are most important. So if you choose to just kind of skim the book and just focus on those bolded sections, you can go through the book that much faster if that is your preference.